Well, I was talking, I think, about the need to be a long-term player and to think long-term in the mining industry. You know, if you look at the average length of time that it takes to find a big mining project and then to develop it, it's about 10 or 12 years. And if you then say how long beyond that does it take to get an economic return, I mean, you might be looking at another 5 or 6 years. So you're looking at nearly 20 years from the time a geologist finds a deposit to the time actually the shareholders have received their returns on it. And that requires actually a pattern of behavior from everybody, from investors, analysts, boards, shareholders, management, that really is geared to the long term. And so, I was talking about the need for alignment between the major stakeholders in the mining industries, mining companies and governments, for example. You can't have a set of short-term practices and ways of thinking about the world when you've got that kind of industry. Yeah, and I think with with smaller mining companies, obviously it doesn't take as long. I mean, if you have a small project that's maybe got a limited life, but I still think all players, it doesn't really matter what mine you're developing, in the world that we're now living in, and when you have to think about things like sustainability, local communities, the whole sort of aspect of provenance and all that kind of thing, you need to think really quite differently about how it works. I mean, the other thing that we talked about a bit on the stage was around what capital structure is good, because a lot of the big mining companies over the last 5 years geared themselves very high with all sorts of acquisitions and M&A and so on. And, I think it led to a very concerning situation. So I'm not sure that gearing and borrowing in the mining industry, except up to a certain level, is a particularly good way to go. Okay, well, I'm pretty positive about 2018. You've got synchronized growth between America and Asia. So we've had unsynchronized growth for quite a long period of time, but now you've actually got large parts of the world all growing simultaneously. You've got new technologies which I think are going to play a big role. So if you take, for example, electric vehicles, and you look at the metal content, I mean, this is something people don't really fully understand. In a normal petrol car, metal content measured at spot prices is somewhere between $250 and $400 per car. In an electric vehicle, it's between $1,600 and $1,800 a car. So yes, although electric vehicles are going to be far more environmentally friendly, at the same time, ironically, they're actually going to require more natural resources to manufacture the car. You look at the amount of copper, for example, in an electric vehicle versus a gasoline vehicle, just incomparable. So the world, as it moves with certain technologies, ironically, is going to need more mined product, not less. Well, cobalt is, as you know, one of the most demanded mining products. I mean, the price has spiked. We are very fortunate in Norilsk nickel. I mean, we're the fifth biggest producer of cobalt in the world, but we're the biggest producer of palladium, which is going to be a hugely important component because palladium is needed in hybrid cars for the catalytic converters. So because they have a petrol engine. So that is one of the reasons why palladium actually has the price has been pushed up so much. And then the other thing that we are the world's major producer of is nickel. And of course these nickel ion batteries are what are driving a lot of electric vehicles. So actually the metal basket of Norilsk is very well positioned.